Hi, Assalamu alaikum, welcome to my channel. Now the idea for this video has been cooking in my head for some time, but this morning I woke up at Fajr and I just felt like I have to go and film this video now. So I'm going to, in this video, hopefully give you a guide on how to date the halal way. The reason we do halal dating is because it protects the mind, body and soul, and it helps you to achieve your purpose of finding that special someone. Now, you all know, if you've been watching my other videos, that I've not yet found someone. However, I didn't want to wait to make this video after I'm married, because one thing that life has taught me is that if you don't go ahead and do that thing that your mind is fixated on at that time, you might not be in that zone later on. So I just know that because I'm going through this experience now and I have some years of experience in this, I thought it would be best if I talk about it now rather than later, where I might forget about some of the points that I might be making in this video. And the sort of details that I can go into now, I might not be able to remember all those details later. So that's why I'm doing this now. I really hope it helps. And it's something that I've stuck to myself. So everything that I'm talking about in this video, these are all things that I've thought about for myself. These are steps that I've taken. And so I really hope that you will gain some value through this video. This video is targeted to Muslims, but if you're not Muslim and you're interested in how we do things, then feel free to watch. It might be a bit different to how you do things, but there will be some common factors. And also, not too long ago, in most of the world, things were done in a similar fashion. I can say that because from what I've read about history, living in the UK, for example, arranged marriages were a thing. I know they were a thing in many parts of the world, for example. But these days, the trend has shifted in much of the world, and now people choose their own partners. I actually grew up in a time when the word date was actually considered to be a taboo because it had certain connotations, and those connotations were linked to sort of a non-halal relationship, a haram relationship. But now this word is being widely used even in the Muslim community. And so that's why I've used that word within the title of this video. But what I mean by it is to be able to find your spouse and do things the halal way. We want to protect our mind, body and soul. And so that's the reason we do that, because we want to make sure that we're not getting hurt mentally or emotionally. We don't want to be physically hurt. We don't want to be spreading diseases, for example. And we want to protect our soul as well, because Allah has specifically told us not to go near zina, for example, not to do anything that brings us near zina. So we need to abide by those verses and follow those laws that are set out in the Quran. Now, what are the avenues to meet somebody? So the avenues to meet somebody are a few. There are quite a few avenues. You might want to go to matrimonial events. If you don't know about matrimonial events, you can have a look. You can search them up in Google, and then, or you can even look them up in Eventbrite. You can also just ask around in your community. You can ask your local mosque. They might be running some. You can also just check in some Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups, to see if there's any updates about matrimonial events. All these avenues that I'm going to outline here, they have had success for people. The success rate varies, of course, and some things work better for some people and other things work better for other people. Personally, I find apps very challenging to navigate. I prefer meeting people face to face, but other people might find it better to just speak to somebody over an app for a period of time and prefer the route of apps, for example. So the first one I outlined was matrimonial events. The second one is your network. So your network can be your family, your friends, your relatives, even at work. Now I was not in a workplace where I could meet anybody who had similar beliefs to myself, but many people, many of my friends, for example, worked in professions where there were many other Muslims, or at least a few other Muslims, and so they managed to meet their spouses through work. So for example, if you're in a healthcare profession, which is where a lot of Muslims go and work, then you're more likely to meet somebody and get married. Another avenue is rishta aunties. We've all probably come into contact with rishta aunties. They are out there, they're willing to help. They often do what they do fi sabilillah, so they don't often take payments, although there are some people that do take payments. And so that will come on, that was actually the next one, which is agencies. So you can actually contact agencies, matchmakers that do this professionally and do it as a business. So that's another way you can do it. What they will do is they will contact people who could look like a suitable match for you. Sometimes they will share profiles with you first and then contact them, or the vice versa. Another avenue is apps, as I mentioned before. Another avenue is websites. Then you have general social media, for example, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. And then you can just have some chance encounters. So these are the avenues that I could think of that you can meet somebody. Chance encounters meaning you might be on a train or a plane or at a shop or on holiday, and you might just come across somebody who happens to be single and is also a suitable match for you. So what kind of prep can we do? The kind of prep you can do to enhance your chances of getting married, and not just getting married, but marrying the right person. I mean, that should be the goal for all of us, that we should want to marry the person who is compatible with us, meaning someone who aligns with our core values, someone who aligns with our principles, who shares our beliefs, who has similar goals in life. These are the things that matter. Other things come second, I'd say, but these are the things that at the heart of the matter keep the marriage strong and bonded. So I'd say the first thing to do is set your intention. Set your intention for marriage and nothing else. Of course, you should take time to get to know somebody, and it's nice if you could develop a friendship, say through work, or if you had an avenue where you could develop that friendship over a longer period of time. But when you go through an avenue like apps or websites, it can be a bit harder to find the opportunity to do that because you may not be seeing each other as often. However, always get to know the person that you're marrying. That is really important. In the olden times, and even in some places now in the world where there are tribes, for example, people married people they knew or that their family knew of. So they were not marrying complete strangers, because when you get married, you're literally trusting your life, you're entrusting your life to the other person. You're making a huge commitment. I think marriage is the biggest commitment that you ever make in your life, especially if you see it as a once in a lifetime endeavor the way that I do. I think it's the biggest commitment. And so you need to make sure that you are able to trust the person that you marry. So let's go back to what I was saying. So set the intention. Your intention is for marriage, and don't forget to have tawakkul. So remember that no matter what happens, Allah is with you. He knows best. If you stay within the limits and you do things the proper way, Allah will bless you. So don't worry about how things turn out. Don't get your hopes up too high so that you are upset if the first person you talk to is not the best match for you, and it doesn't pan out to marriage. It's okay. It's part of the process. Just trust the process. Trust in Allah. He has the best in store for you. So have that tawakkul in Him, that you just need to try and you pray to Him. And here are some great duas actually. So there's one dua which I mentioned in a previous video. That is Rabbi inni lima anzalta alayya min khairin fakir. That one is from Musa alayhi salam. So this dua is in Surah 28, verse 24. And it's when Musa alayhi salam, he escapes the Pharaoh and he goes to a land where he sees two women who want to water their animals, but they are holding back because there are other people watering their animals. And then he notices that and he says, he basically offers to help them with that. And then he helps them, and those women are really impressed by his good behavior and his helpful attitude. And then they go to their father and they tell him what's happened. And then he asks to see Musa alayhi salam. So Musa, in the meantime, is making a dua that Allah, I'm in need of whatever good you can give to me. Because of course he doesn't have anything when he's left the palace and escaped. So he's in need of everything, of food, provision, and even marriage as well. So then when he gets called back inside to meet this father, the women actually vouch for him. So one of the women says that he is a strong, trustworthy person, and so who better than such a person to employ? So the father then offers one of the daughter's hands in marriage, and also takes a contract for work, and Musa alayhi salam agrees. So that is the one example of the marriage process in the Quran. It's the only example that I know of in the Quran, and it's a beautiful example because it shows that Musa alayhi salam provided some value to these women. The women took note, they appreciated that, and they recognized that he is strong, that he is trustworthy, two very likable traits in somebody. And then they went and they told their father, and then their father could see that, you know, his daughters like this person, and he offered marriage. And so, you know, even in the modern times, I feel that this is a story in which we can learn so many valuable lessons. It's so important even for parents to be on board with what their children want, and not to push their own way of thinking, because in Islam, according to the Quran, we do have a right to choose who we wish to marry. I actually grew up thinking that I would have an arranged marriage because my parents had an arranged marriage. So I grew up thinking, and I hope you don't mind me sharing my story as well while we're going through this video. It's just because this is obviously something I can speak from its experience, and I hope that my experiences can help as well. So I grew up thinking this way. And then when we got to the point when, you know, the whole marriage talk started, like, yeah, we need to find someone to marry, it was very difficult for my parents to find someone who was compatible. And so they didn't actually, even to this day, they will never say that, oh, well, you know, we found this person for her and she refused. That just didn't happen. There wasn't someone compatible that they could find. And then they encouraged me when I was in my 20s to start looking for somebody myself, someone who could be compatible. Maybe they suggested that I look for someone at university, but by that time I was already finished with my first degree, where there were more Muslims, and then I went into my master's program and then my PhD, etc. And then so since my master's, I've just not been able to come across Muslims. But it's definitely okay to like somebody for marriage purposes and to have that intention to get to know them for that purpose. The second dua is in Surah 25, verse 74 of the Quran, and that is Rabbana hablana min azwajina wa dhurriyyatina qurrata a'yunin waj'alna lil muttaqina imama. Now this dua translates as, our Lord, grant us from among our wives and offspring comfort to our eyes and make us an example for the righteous. So these two duas are really powerful, really good duas to make. But of course you can make your own dua, and you can be very specific with your dua as well. You don't have to limit your dua when you're asking from Allah. You can ask for whatever your heart wants, you can ask for it. And don't feel ashamed in asking Allah. Allah is ever bountiful. He is capable of every miracle. He's the one who's created all of us. And surely out there will be that one person who is the perfect match for you, who is a really good match for you. So don't be afraid to ask the one, the Almighty, who has created everybody, to bring that person to you. So the second piece of prep that I would recommend doing is to assess yourself and really know yourself. What are you bringing to the table? What do you have that you can bring to a marriage? One of the best ways I think that you can do that is by reading books on this subject, to know what a marriage entails, to know what you need to bring to that, what does it involve, what values do you need, what practicalities do you need to know about, what skills do you need to maybe learn how to cook and clean and take care of some practical matters. So there are so many things that you can think about and prepare yourself with regards to marriage. And I actually think it's always helpful to do a bit of reading for personal growth as well and spiritual growth. There is one book that I read about finding the right person, which I thought was really helpful and insightful. And it was this one. It's called Calling in the One by Catherine Woodward Thomas. Quite a popular book. She's Christian, she's not Muslim, but she believes in God. And there were many things that she said which resonated with me. And so I would recommend reading something that can help you to learn more about yourself and to transform yourself into the partner that you want to be, so that when you do find that person, then you're ready. Because one thing that you will also have to remember is that you can't marry potential. So just like you can't marry potential, someone cannot see the potential in you. They have to see you as a person that you are now and accept that. And you have to see that person and accept them for who they are now. I don't think it's wise to marry potential, because that person might not change to fit the molds that you want them to fit. They have their own mind. People grow over time anyway. People change, their minds change. Your mind will change about some things in life. You will grow as a person. So just you want to marry someone who you can accept right now as they are. That's really important. So the third step of the prep is to think deeply about what you want and what you need. Now, these are two different things. So what you want will be the things that you would like to have, but are not necessary for you to make that marriage work. Whereas what you need are the things that are necessary to make that marriage work. So for example, you might need somebody who is sensitive. You might need someone who can understand you, who can provide you with an emotional connection. Now that might be a need for you, because you might not feel secure in your marriage until you have that emotional connection. You want someone who's not going to offend you with their words. That might be a need. Whereas a want would be, I want him to be 6 foot tall, for example. That is a want. That's not a need. You don't need someone to be a certain height to make the marriage work, but you do need them to have certain attributes to make that marriage work. Is this person honest? Honesty could be a need. If you're an honest person, you will probably need an honest person. Now, the fourth step of the prep is to think about your deal breakers. Now, deal breakers could be things like marital status. The apps for single people are not for married people. Married people, please make your marriages work. Go and work on them. If they're not working, divorce and then go on the apps. Other deal breakers can be criminal records, certain habits, for example, smoking. They can also be living arrangements. Are they living with family? Are they living alone? What is their practice of Islam? Are you aligned on that? What's their relationship history? Now, this is an interesting one, because I know there was always an attitude where, you shouldn't go and inquire about that, because that's in someone's past. However, someone's past can dictate their future as well. You need to know what their character is before you go and you commit to them. And it's interesting that even non-Muslims seem to care about this, because they have this whole concept of body count, and they see people with a high body count as being less value than someone with a low body count. So this is something that is a real issue, a real concept of attention for both Muslims and non-Muslims. If you are somebody who's had that kind of lifestyle where you've dated around and you've had premarital relationships, then you have to be realistic. Do you think that you deserve somebody who has never had premarital relationships? Because there are people that have that as a requirement, and I don't think that's fair. I think you should look at how you have behaved and your lifestyle and find someone who's similar to your lifestyle. Unless you change, unless you totally give up your lifestyle and change for the better, come closer to Allah, decide that you're not going to repeat those things again, then by all means, practice that lifestyle and find someone who practices the same lifestyle. But this is why lifestyle is a deal breaker as well, because if they don't match, if they don't align, then how can you make the marriage work? Okay, so now you've done all that prep work. If I can go through them in a bit more depth if you want in a future video. I just don't want this video to run on far too long. So now we are going to talk about apps and websites and talk about step by step how to get to know somebody through that. So the number one thing to do is when you're on an app, look at the profile carefully, read everything that's on that profile and see if you can find deal breakers on there, see if you can find your needs and wants on there, especially the needs. See if you can gather as much information as you can from just the profile. The next step is either you reach out to that person or you can let them reach out to you, whichever way around. Sometimes people you like will never reach out to you, so you might have to do that. Now, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, it's okay to reach out. I was under the impression for the longest time that I shouldn't reach out to somebody because I'm a woman and a man should do that. But even though I do take an interest in all of this masculine, feminine energy stuff and the psychology of all of those things, sometimes people, men can be hesitant to reach out. They can be shy, they can have certain personal characteristics, and as long as those are not deal breakers for you, then you can reach out to him, even if you're a woman. And if you're a man, of course, you can reach out to a woman that you like on the app. So now you like this profile, what do you do next? So what you can do is basically send a message which shows that you've read the profile, you've taken an interest. You could pick up a point from the profile. For example, if he has a certain hobby or she has a certain hobby, then you can comment on that and say that, oh wow, like this is something I'm really into as well, and maybe add something to the conversation. Like if it's theatre, for example, maybe you can talk about something that you recently watched. So that's just a nice way to open up a conversation. But you can also, I know people like to sometimes be a little humorous and just inject some laughter into that. So that's also nice to do. You can do that, just inject some of your personality into that opening message to make that good first impression. But don't take too much pressure on either. It shouldn't feel hard. You just go according with your personality. Just send that message out there, and you are likely to get a response if that person looks at your profile and there's mutual interest anyway. It doesn't matter too much what that opening message looks like, even though first impressions count. Don't take on too much pressure. Okay, now say that you've sent a message and your message has been seen, the person has responded back to you, and a conversation starts. Now, try not to make it an interview. Try to just get to know that person without it being an interview. I find that sometimes when you talk about yourself, people will start to open up about themselves. In fact, this is not a sometimes concept. This is pretty much an always concept. I see this happening all the time. Whenever I am opening up in conversation about myself, the other person feels relaxed and at ease to then talk about themselves too, because I'm lowering my guard, I'm being a little vulnerable because I'm sharing something, and then that person feels encouraged to do the same thing. So I think it's nice to be able to just start talking, conversation about anything. It can be about your day, it can be about a success that you had at work, or in whatever it is that you're preoccupied with in the day. It can be just anything that you care about. Maybe it's some volunteering you did, some charity work that you can talk about, and just get a conversation started. Through the conversation, you will then start to feel that you can now bring up some deal breakers, or you might wish to leave that until the next step. I would encourage leaving it until the next step, because I think some things are better addressed over a call, where at least you can hear someone's voice and they're not getting too much time to think of the perfect answer. just to impress you. So the next step is to make a phone call. You can do the phone call through an app. So if you're on an app, for example, Muzz, now some of the apps and websites that I would recommend because I think they're quite good are Pure Matrimony, Half Our Deen, and Muzz, which was formerly known as Muzz Match. I think they have had some really good success rates. Some of my friends have got married through Pure Matrimony and through Muzz. So you can make that phone call through the app. You want to make sure that you are not giving away your personal information, like your home address, and any other personal information. You never give away your bank details. You want to keep safe while you're getting to know somebody, because remember, this person is a complete stranger to you. So now when you have the phone call with this person, you can vet that person. You can see if they are talking like a sane person, if what they are saying is consistent with what you read on their profile. I would recommend asking for a call and just saying, it'd be nice to speak over a call, hear each other's voices, and also talk a bit more about the things that matter, that are important to us. And then in that call, you can just bring up some of these deal breakers, and you can sort of say that these are my expectations. What do you think about them? Like, this is sort of what I'm looking for. And then hear the other person out and see what they are looking for, and do your expectations line up with each other. Okay, so say that you've had the call. Now what do you do next? So you've had the call, you might want to then decide to have another call, so you can arrange another one and speak about some things that maybe you've not had time to discuss in the first call, but which are important to you. You might also wish to have a video call either at the second call or the third call, especially if you're living far away from each other. If you're in different cities or you're in different countries, then this can be a good way for you to see that person face to face, almost like a face-to-face meeting. After that call, I would suggest that you try to meet in person if you can, always in a public place, and make sure that you have informed your family members or your best friends. I would personally always tell my parents before I go to meet somebody, and I would always make sure that it's a public place and it's safe, and I'm meeting at sensible hours, I'm meeting in the daytime, not at nighttime, and that I've shared the address of where I'm meeting with my family. You might also like to have a wali with you when you go to meet somebody. This will depend on your personal beliefs. If you believe that you should have someone, that I've sometimes taken my mum to meet with people that I've considered. So you can do it that way, and or you can have someone come to your house. I've done that too. I sometimes just invited someone to meet me at my house so that my parents can meet that person as well, and then they can help me with the decision-making process. So it's up to you how you want to do it, but if you're feeling very nervous and you want to take some of the pressure off, you might not want to do what I've just suggested in the very early stages. You might want to just meet that person outside, get to know them a little bit, have good conversation, and give it time. And make sure you put your phone away and you're not on your phone while you're getting to know this person, because that's rude, and also you're not paying full attention. So you need to take this really seriously, like you would an exam or you would your career. This actually takes, this process of getting married can take just as much work for a lot of us. So do give it all the attention that it needs. After meeting with this person, if you think that this is the right person for you, and the other person thinks the same way about you, you might feel that you want to get your family involved, or you might feel that you need to meet one or two more times before that stage because you're not quite sure. In the meantime, do try and talk to people that you know about it, because they know you well. So if you're unsure or something doesn't feel right, then do try and discuss that with your closest friends, someone you trust, someone who can give you good advice and feedback, and someone who's wise and can understand, especially if it's someone who's married or someone who has that kind of insight. Those are the people that can really help you to make a well-informed decision about whether to proceed or not, whether to carry on getting to know this person and to take things further. Remember to do background checks as well, so you can go on their social media and have a look at what they've been up to, what their interests are, You can find out more about who they are as a person through these background checks as well. You can ask to meet one of their friends. You can definitely meet the family and speak to the parents, the siblings. You can also, if you have friends that live nearby this person, then you can ask them if they can help you to find out about this person through their neighbors or through someone who is a mutual contact. That can really help to figure out if this person is who they're saying they are. And give it time. Don't rush. It's really, really important not to rush. You will see that people have been going on my video and sort of telling me that I need to rush, but I'm not going to rush. No, it doesn't matter how many people tell me to do that. I know that at the end of the day, I am the person who has to make my marriage work, and I am the one who will have to deal with it day to day. I want that to be the right decision. I want to give someone what he deserves. I want to make sure that my husband gets the best from a wife. I want to be that best wife. So I'm not going to rush, and I really don't believe that you should either. It doesn't matter what age you are. Don't feel that you have to rush and just settle for anybody, because that could be the worst decision that you make. And another piece of advice that I would give you is definitely have those standards. Definitely look at how a person acts and what they say and see if those match up. I say actions are louder than words. And also just keep growing your knowledge in how to be the best wife, the best husband, the best spouse. Keep reading about this subject. If you feel that you are not in a place in life where you can offer the best of yourself, then try to become that best version of yourself. Keep working on yourself, keep growing, and inshallah you will find the perfect match for you. There's a lot of depth to this topic, but I think that I've touched on all the main points. And so I really hope this helps. And if it does, give this video a like, subscribe, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Feel free to share your experiences. And if you have any questions, or if you want me to make a future video on any specific topic, then feel free to suggest it in the comments below. Thank you so much. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.